We all know the most overpowered agent of all time would probably be Chamber or Jet, but in this video, I want to explore the times where every agent was OP. This also helps show the agents who never really had the time to shine in the meta, which could give a reason to mega buff them in the next batch. Before we start, let me explain the ranks. First, Unfair OP. This is for agents with very good value for little effort. They usually are the meta pick for every map. Second, Very Good OP. This is for agents who are very good but still need expertise in order to make them OP. Mid OP. This is for agents who are just good and were meta but never really were the star of the team. OP. This is for agents whose highest heights never really landed them in the meta or only was the meta for a short amount of time. Lastly, give them a mega buff Rito. This is for agents who for most of their lifespan, despite their peaks, really just sucked, for lack of a better term. All good? Remember, this is all for fun and entertainment, and please don't take things too seriously like it's the rule. Without wasting any seconds, days, or months, let's get started. Brimstone. He's one of the agents that is the definition of mid and consistent. He never really felt underwhelming, nor had a time where he was really OP. But there was one brief period where he was played a lot during the initial Stimmy buff that made everyone a duelist. So with that, we of course have gotta put him in the mid carrot category. Phoenix is an odd case because on paper, his strongest point is right now, especially with the Insta Flash buff. But he was most played early on in beta, almost picked in every team comp when there wasn't much competition, and players just really relied on aim. I'm not sure when he was the most OP, but all I know is that Rito, please buff my flaming homie. It's a weird case, but I decided to put him in tier, since his best never really made waves in the community. Sage. She was very good in beta, where she had a cheap wall that would solidify immediately, slows that covered a wide area, and heals that actually healed people to full health, including yourself. I still never really understood the self-heal nerf. She basically was a must pick early on in every comp, and not because you needed a pocket sage. But she herself wasn't really oppressive, just really good. So, very good tier. Sova. He was normally very good early on because his util was unmatched with the agents at the time, with the best droning ability, and not really because he was super OP. He was played almost every map and in every comp until Fade was released, but he never was the star. So a simple but low, very good tier. Viper. She is an odd case because she really was only OP because she was the only controller for a long time with a long straight wall, which was a necessity on Icebox and Breeze. But their strongest was when using both smokes at the same time didn't make your field deplete faster, and the duration and replenishing time of the ult was way higher. It was hard choosing where to place her because on some maps she's a very good OP, and others So let's find the middle ground in mid. Cypher. Camera gun. In all seriousness though, he was also OP in beta when he had 15-second cooldown on camera, cages that could slow people, and trips that still worked after you died. Wasn't too crazy, but surprisingly good for those who only know Cypher in his current state. Very good OP. Reyna. She had 4 charges on her suck. You know what that means? You could kill 4 enemies and still be full health for the last one. It was insane. If you could aim. The only thing keeping Peak Reyna from being unfair is the user's aim. So high, very good OP. Killjoy. When she was released, she was suddenly insane. What I mean is that she didn't have a flashy ability that made her multi-frag, but her stats were crazy. Her turret and trip were global and had no deactivation range, and the turret slowed for 70% if you got hit, almost the same as being hit with a gun. The only thing that kept her from being very OP is that her ult was destroyed with one kaboom. But imagine her current ult with her abilities on release. Crazy. But we have to live in reality, even if we play for 10 hours straight. So, very good OP. Breach. His height was nothing much. He just had 3 flashes, and it was more annoying than OP. He was good with good teamwork and on certain maps, but aside from that, Omen. He was always decent for most of his history, except when his smokes traveled really slowly. But the only notable buff that made him the best is a faster smoke and a faster TP. Despite having decent playtime in Pro and Ranked, he doesn't really stand out. So, Jet. We all know where she should be, but for those who aren't aware, let me explain. Look at Jet right now. Pretty good, right? Now, add 1 more smoke to her and make them last twice as long. Don't give her a time limit on her dash and make it an instant cast, and replenish her knives after a right-click kill. You understand now? Raze. Beta Raze was pretty insane. She had 2 nades that slowed you and had huge damage. Throw both at an entering team and not only would you stop them but probably get 2 kills minimum. Also, she had a 6 cost ult that actually did damage. Solid, unfair OP. Sky. Sky's OP time was not too grand. She's played a lot right now in pro play, but it's mostly because other drone abilities are not as good. She had a time where she could pop flash for solo plays, and a stint where you can insta-flash and equip your gun really fast, but nothing much outside of that. Mid. Yoru. Yoru was very underwhelming ever since release, so much that they reworked his whole kit and he still is underwhelming. Don't get me wrong, where he lacks on impact, he makes up with overpowered dance moves. He deserves to be a very, 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 very high. Give them a mega buff Rito. Astra. Why did I say like that? On release, she had 5 stars, shorter cooldown, and a suck with insane stall potential. Pro and rank players remember this as one of the worst times to play the game because of all the Astra smokes. It almost was chamber era levels of bad that Rito had to nerf her to the ground on the next patch. Not putting her in unfair OP would be a disservice to my queen. K/O. KO had no iconic OP phase, but his underhand throw back in the day was really broken for solo plays, where you could sit in a corner, underhand flash, and probably at least get 1 kill. A solid mid. Chamber. Neon. Sadly, she never had an overpowered state and was a niche pick on a few maps in pro and rank play. Rito, I beg to you, I even pray to you to give Neon even a week where she is insanely overpowered. Please. For my girl, let her ult spray sinigang in the enemy's eyes that does huge damage, stuns, and blinds them. Please. Fade. On release, she had dogs with high health, long range, and fast jumps. Her dogs at the time were the best droning ability that rivaled even Sova's drone, but overall, she wasn't unfair OP, but more annoying to be on the receiving end. I'm not biased here at all, but I think she should be reverted back to this state, at least with increased range, and maybe even bring back the health, and maybe give her 4 prowlers and infinite range on the eye, and maybe also give her... Harbor. Harbor is an interesting case because everyone thought that he would always be meh, but with a few buffs realized he could be a solid pick. Although this is only really seen in pro or coordinated play because it needs some creative setup and executes to be good. So... Gekko. Gekko in reality is in average state right now, but on release, he was ungodly amounts of overpowered. Whenever he deployed Wingman, everyone stopped shooting and just looked at the cute little bugger as he waddled around. It was a greater stun than Killjoy's ult. He truly was even more OP than Peak Chamber. You know what? He deserves a whole tier of his own. The real bro tier. Last but definitely not the least, Deadlock. We don't have much data on Deadlock as she just released recently, but people are feeling underwhelmed with her, especially with the trips not being good flank watch. The only thing close to OP would be the ult. It's almost a free kill if you land it, and it's definitely OP in 1v1s. Aside from that, she really needs a buff for other abilities. I guess the one thing that is definitely overpowered with her is her style and design. Oh my god. She's cool, okay? Sue me. So, that was everyone. Right? I didn't miss anyone. Yeah, that was definitely everyone. So, what did you think? Do you agree with my rankings or not? And who do you think should finally have their time to be OP? Please be Neon. Would love to hear what you think in the comments down below. That's all from me, and I hope you have a nice day, week, or month.